One of the other big downsides to private practice is that the weekend call is particularly brutal. And there's really no need for it in some sense. So for example, private practice, Monday through Friday, you might read, say, anywhere from 60 to 100 cases a day. But the weekend is a dump. You have less radiologists and you have potentially more cases. So, whereas during the week you might read 60 to 100, the weekend is going to be a horrible day where you might read 100 to 150 to 200 cases, by yourself. And that's just kind of the nature of private practice, the way that it's staffed, the way that it's created, the way that it's structured. It's sort of structured that, you just cover the cases, say, from 8 o'clock in the morning to 5, 6 p.m. at night. And again, when you're short-staffed on the weekend, which you are by design, we're trying to minimize the number of weekends that, radiologists are on call. When you're on call, you're going to be hit with a lot of cases. In some sense, there's no need for that. Why should it be that Monday through Friday you have a decent job and the weekends you have a horrible job? We know that radiology is a 24/7 specialty. We know that. So I think this is where there are some advantages to corporate teleradiology practices and corporate practice in general. They sort of equalize the playing field. It's not so much that they care that you read the cases that are there during the week and then all of the cases that are there on the weekend. They mostly care about the total RVU amount. So whereas, typical private practice, maybe you're reading 50, 60 RVUs during the week, and then the weekends are a brutal 120 work RVUs a day, destructive shift. Teleradiology practice or corporate practice, they might just be like, hey, read however many you can, ideally, 60, 70 RVUs a day, and just read 7 days a week. So that makes it so the weekend is not more brutal. It's just another day. You're just reading cases on the weekend. That in combination with the fact that there are kind of connected PAC systems and the availability for other subspecialty trained radiologists to take cases off your plate if needed. Like, let's say you're on call in a corporate practice and a complex study comes up. Maybe it's a brachial plexus MRI, and for whatever reason, they want a stat read. They want to read today. Well, with a connected PAC system where it's a corporate system where everybody is sort of part of this large practice, you could more easily than a private practice, more easily just simply have that study shunted to somebody that's sitting at home, that's subspecialty trained, that potentially has an interest in reading that brachial plexus MRI. In private practice, unfortunately, you might be stuck reading it yourself. Now, what would that mean? That might mean you call up the other couple people that are on call and say, hey, do you guys know how to read this? That might be that you put a prelim in and let it sit till Monday. That might be that you just pull out a book, or you pull out a video, or you pull out a CME course and do a quick refresher of how to read brachial plexus MRI and just sign it. It creates a problem for you. And in that instant, when you're dealing with that problem, that problem, that brachial plexus MRI, that might take you a lot of time. That might take you up to an hour to solve that problem. That's an hour that you're not reading other cases. I think what the corporate practices and the teleradiology practices, what they do is they value efficiency. Rather than a non-MSK trained radiologist sitting there trying to figure out how to read a brachial plexus MRI, they would rather you just read basic bread and butter ER cases at a high rate for that hour and have that other case shunted off. In other words, they sort of create an efficiency. Now, that efficiency does not come cheap. It comes at a price. The price is probably about 25 to 30%, maybe more. Is it worth it? It's always a question, right? Is the rate worth it? I think you have to simply figure that out for yourself and decide. Do you want to be reading more cases that you're comfortable with? Or do you want to be reading less cases, but maybe cases that you're not so comfortable with, that are outside your comfort zone, and having to read outside your comfort zone in order to finish the day's work? So again, these are value judgments you have to decide for yourself. Either way it works. Either way you're working hard. That's really what it comes down to. That's the key element here. either way, you're working hard. Don't think for a second that there's one system that's much, much better than the other. Either way, you're working hard. Either you're working hard and fast for a corporate group, or you're working for a private practice group, but you're doing, a smattering of things. Maybe you're a breast imager, but you're doing paras. Maybe you're an IR, but you're doing fluoro studies. You might be a neuroradiologist, but you're reading body MRI. So it sort of comes down to how you're wired, how you think. If you're just a really closed-in guy or girl that just, I know what I know and I'm going to do it fast, then honestly, corporate or teleradiology might be a better fit for you. But again, hey, you got to take the plunge and figure it out for yourself. I think I've said enough for this. Stroke MD.